Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Comon from Paul's Photo, the lab at Paul's Photo and the Creative Photo Academy. Thank you for joining us tonight for another exciting episode of what we do in digital photography and how we make better pictures. Tonight, we're going to talk about what's in my camera bag and why. So this is a very fun and light evening, full of a lot of information. If you have questions, please type them into the chat. Karen's going to relay those questions to me. I'll answer them as best I can. And this is going to be a fun evening. I hope you guys are ready for this. And here we go. All right. So I want to welcome you to the awesome community we have here at Paul's Photo. And whether it's on the camera store side or on the Creative Photo Academy and the education side or on the lab side, we have an awesome group of customers who come out and support us. And thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being part of this community. And hopefully we'll be able to get together like this very soon. You know, the trips are coming back. You know, people are in the store, they're wearing their masks. Everything is great. We're doing the best we can. And I want to thank you for being part of this small family business where we live by the core values of customer service, community, and sustainable business. You know, we really are here to serve you and to help you make better pictures, to make photography more fun and exciting for you. If you ever have an issue where the team here doesn't live up to these core values, please let me know. If they do a great job, please tell your friends, please tell the internet, you know, leave us a review, all that fun stuff, you know, because we really try to be the best camera store. And we've been recognized as the best camera store by Digital Imaging Reporter in 2012, in our two local newspapers every year since 1999. And we really work hard to be the best camera store, to have the most of what you need. Follow us on social media. We're very active. I just posted a fun video today, and we had the Nikon rep in the store. So follow me on Facebook. On Facebook, Paul's Photo, Creative Photo Academy, on Instagram and on YouTube. Try to hit all the major platforms. Peter's doing Twitter and TikTok if you're a Twitter and TikTok person. We just want to be here for you to have some fun, share the pictures. And one of the things I love, a lot of people have problems with Facebook, and I understand all that, the politics and all. But it's really fun, you know, because, you know, Karen's part of the group and she shares her pictures from here, and Gary shares his pictures from there, and Tim shares his pictures from here, and we all get to see them. That's the whole fun of it. And that's why we love it so much. So what is my goal for you today? To inform you, to inspire you, and to get you excited. You know, it's the week before Christmas, and, you know, we're all concentrating on getting things ready for the holiday. But I also want to get you ready for the new year that's coming and for your photo opportunities, and so that you can get out there and make your best pictures. You know, people say these days they're living their best life. I want you to live your best life, but make your best pictures too. Because how are you going to share the story of your life if you don't have these awesome pictures? So I'm going to send you tomorrow the list. For those of you who registered tonight and you got the welcome email from Paul's Photo about tonight, you will get a recording of tonight plus the list of the equipment. So you don't need to make a million notes. I mean, you can if you want. If you are not on the list, if somebody gave you the link to tonight, please write to me, mark@paulsphoto.com, and I will send you the equipment list of what I have in my camera bag if you want to have that for your own. Very important. So last night we did Why Mirrorless, Why Now? And that was a great evening. You know, we had about 100 of you on the call. I had a lot of great email questions and phone questions today. I'm going to put the link to that recording into the email you get tomorrow as well. Hopefully I'll get to it tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be Friday. Tomorrow's kind of a busy day here at Paul's Photo, but we'll get that out to you. So Karen, I see some questions, some things in the chat. Are there questions?
Well, someone asked, what about Sony versus Tamron lenses?
All right, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. All right, so what I want you to remember is the bag. So the physical bag itself is going to change through the years. The gear in the bag is going to change through the years, but my goals do not. My goals are always to make the best picture, to make it simple to use because I'm not that smart when it's in the field, to make it a doable kit. I'm not one of these guys who likes to carry a ton of stuff, and it has to be versatile so that I can make all of the pictures that I want when I'm on location. Now, sometimes we're going to need to make qualitative and quantitative choices to make the pictures that we want. So tonight we're going to talk about 3 basic kits: my bike and hike kit, my daily and travel kit, my sports and safari kit, and then add how I change the sports and safari kit to get to landscape. Hey, sorry about that. Thank you, Johnny. And then there'll be some surprises along the way. All right, are we ready? Everybody ready? All right, here we go. So the first bag is my bike and hike kit. So this is a Peak Designs Everyday Sling 6-liter. They make this bag in 2 sizes. Excuse me, the 6-liter, which is a small one, and a 10-liter, which is a little bit bigger. And in this bag, I put my Nikon Z50 kit. So the Z50 is a crop sensor mirrorless camera, and I carry that with 2 lenses, the 16-50 lens and the 50-250 lens. And this is a great 2-lens kit. I use the Z50. Why? Because it's small enough so that I can put it in a jacket pocket. I've taken it to places that don't allow professional cameras, like the Hollywood Bowl and places like that. So it's something that I can get away with and make beautiful pictures with. And I carry it with me on my daily hikes. You know, Karen hikes with me some of the time, and my buddy Chuck does too. And I always have a camera with me. And having the Z50 makes it so that I can whip out the camera and make beautiful pictures in the neighborhood while we're hiking out and about. I want to have a camera with me all the time. And so here's on my wife and I on a bike ride in the neighborhood. We saw this beautiful view. So I used the Z50. This is with the 50-250 lens. Excuse me, guys. To make this beautiful image. And that's the whole point. Because if all you've got with you is your phone, then all you're going to get is phone quality images. And for me, that's not sufficient. So I like the power of an interchangeable lens camera that gives me aperture control and exposure control and shutter speed control and lens control to make the pictures that I want. And the Z50, 20 megapixels crop sensor does a great job in this case. And if you're looking for a basic camera for you or for family members, this is an awesome choice. The Canon M50 or the Sony A6400 are similar cameras that would work if you're a Sony or a Canon person. I'm a Nikon guy, so I like the Z50. It's awesome. Now, I got the Z50 and I use the Z50 a lot because it takes some beautiful pictures and it adds a great attribute to my system. Why I really got the Z50 was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro last February. So in February of 2020, just before the whole COVID shutdown, Chuck and I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I needed a small lightweight kit. So this kit went with me to the top of Kilimanjaro, and it was a camera that I could carry, right? Because we climbed to 19,000 feet, took a week to get there. But I wanted awesome pictures. I wanted fantastic photos from my trip to Kilimanjaro. I wanted pictures both in day and night. And I wanted the power of a camera that could do that for me. That's Godfrey, our cook, that's just after dinner. We're at the spot where we got cell phone signal, so everybody was calling home. And there he is. I got him with the sun just setting to make that beautiful image. And on our way up to the top with another group that we were hiking with, climbing, and taking pictures with a camera that weighs, a little bit more than your cell phone. And our last camp, before we made the big push to the summit. And on the top, using my bike and hike kit, the Nikon Z50. Yes, we made it. So questions, Karen, there was a question about Sony lenses versus Tamron lenses. I'm going to make a blanket statement. The best lens for your camera is the pro quality lens from your camera maker. So if you have a Sony camera, the pro quality Sony lens. If you have a Canon camera, the pro quality Canon lens. If you have a Nikon camera, the pro quality Nikon lens is going to be the best lens for your camera. Now, Canon, Nikon, Sony all make a lower line of lenses, sometimes two lower lines of lenses. And if you were to compare, you know, the top Tamron with the midline Canon or Sony or Nikon, maybe they're, you know, a toss up there. But the pro lens is always going to give you a better quality picture. Other questions, Karen?
Yeah, Ray wanted to know, did you carry a second backup camera to the peak?
No, just I had to go with one camera. So my kit was very small because we were very weight limited. So I had the Z50, the two lenses. I had 4 128 gigabyte memory cards and 4 of the batteries. So I couldn't charge batteries along the way. So I had to make the batteries last. And, you know, on the Z50, I only used a battery and a half on the climb. So I could have really done it with 2 batteries. I never really would have done that, but I took 4 batteries, 4 memory cards, the camera, and 2 lenses.
That's
Other
it?
questions?
No, that's it, Mark.
Awesome. So the bag that you see me with the most, and for those of you who've had my photo boot camp, which is coming up in January, and if you're not really, you know, if the f-stops and shutter speed still have you a little flummoxed, take photo boot camp. It will make it better. What do you think about that, Karen?
I liked photo boot camp.
Yeah, that's right. So if you've taken photo boot camp, I talked to you about my everyday bag, and that's the Think Tank Streetwalker Pro version 2. And I like this bag because it's a backpack. I can carry it with me everywhere, and I take it with me everywhere. And what's in this bag? A Nikon Z72, the 24 to 70 2.8, the 70 to 200 2.8, the 14 to 30 wide angle lens, and the 1.4 extender. So you can see the bag is very powerful. It's very well organized. I love it because I can carry it with me. So if you see me at the beach on Sunday or at Disneyland, that's the bag I've got. And in the bag, I have some really cool accessories. So I'll bring it back up and show you that. You know, first of all, I have a water bottle. I always carry a water bottle. And one of my personal pet peeves, or to save the planet, guys, get rid of the plastic disposable water bottles. Get yourself a Nalgene bottle or a stainless steel water bottle like this one. We used to have these at Creative Photo Academy. We don't anymore. Can't get that brand of water bottle right now, but that's always with me, and it's a reusable water bottle. Inside the bag, we looked at this last night, the Hoodman Loop. This is one of the greatest inventions in photography. It allows me to look at the back screen in bright sunshine and fully read everything on the LCD screen on the back. So on my camera, I use the Peak Slide Light strap. I have the Nikon rigid lens shades on all of my lenses. I have the Hoodman wipes in my bag, which are the best lens cleaner I've ever used. And of course, all this stuff is available at Paul's Photo. I also have the Think Tank Pixel Pocket Rocket memory card holder, where I have my Delkin Black and Hoodman CF Express memory cards. So the Delkin Black, the Hoodman CF Express are the cards that I personally use. If you have questions about memory cards, we'll talk about them. 2 extra batteries, fully charged, so I'm ready to go. Very important that you have your bag packed properly. Another cool thing I like about the Streetwalker is outside in the front, I have what I call the Percy pocket. where batteries, sunglasses, wallet, keys, all that kind of stuff go. So that's the camera bag. Let's talk about how I use it. You know, some days I'll want to take a smaller kit. And one of the great things that Sony and Canon have is they have two kits of, we'll talk here about the trinity of lenses. So the 14 to 30, 24 to 70, 70 to 200 is considered the trinity of lenses. Now, Nikon has all of the lenses in the 2.8, two of the lenses, the 14 to 30 and the 24 to 70, and they make the f4 versions. Sony and Canon both have both the f4 and the 2.8 versions in both of the lenses. So if you want to pack a smaller kit, consider the going smaller, the f4 versions. You're giving up a little bit of low light performance, but cutting the weight in the lenses almost in half to do that. And it's a really powerful thing to do, especially if you're struggling with weight. You know, we talked last night, one of the reasons why we're going to mirrorless is to cut the weight. So if I cut the weight in the camera and cut down to the f4 lenses, my kit is going to go in half. The weight is going to be 50% of what it was with a DSLR kit. So very important to consider that. For me, the trinity of lenses is important. I carry the trinity of lenses with me all the time. Wide angle, normal, telephoto, 14 to 30, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. You should always consider those lenses. I love the 2.8 versions because I like that picture quality. Questions, Karen?
There's no questions, Mark.
So what do I do with my camera bag? So where do I take this bag? I take it to a day at Disneyland. 24 to 70, 14 to 30, 70 to 200. And I'm using the kit to capture the pictures that I see, the pictures that I want, to tell the stories that I see. That's why I want a camera kit with me. I want a camera kit that's versatile, that it can give me the images that I want in the sun or the shade with a fast shutter speed or a slow shutter speed. So I have the power to be creative so that I can use the 14 to 30 lens here at 14 and get over 100-degree field of view and make that image that's so dynamic. It tells the story, that captures where we are. That's the secret here, gang. Using the lenses appropriately, or a 70 to 200 to reach in and make the details. I love a 70 to 200 lens. It's with me all the time. You know, and the 70 to 200 2.8 is one of the best lenses that your camera manufacturer makes. You know, buy the Nikon, Canon, or Sony 70 to 200 2.8. They're expensive. They're $2,000 to $3,000, but they're worth every penny because they make absolutely amazing pictures. You know, your 24 to 70 lens is your go-to lens. That's the lens you use all the time, both indoors and out. And that's why I love the 2.8 apertures. So I love to be able to shoot indoors and out without an issue. I want to be able to make the picture that I want. I want the camera to do my bidding instead of me following the camera. That's the power of what we're doing with the cameras and the lenses. That's the power of using the lens as we have it to make these beautiful pictures. And I'm sure, I hope you guys agree that these are amazing pictures and they capture the story as you want to tell it. That's the power. Here, how about a portrait with the 14mm lens? How cool is that? Or the 70 to 200 at 200. Using your lenses, learning to use your lenses. If you're struggling with your lenses, Photo Boot Camp is the best way to learn it. Learn to use your kit. This is my basic travel kit. Inside, here in the Grand Californian Hotel, 14 to 30 at 14, ultra wide angle, ultra wide angle. Be prepared to push your lenses to the edge. After dark, a little bit higher ISO, using the image stabilizing functions, right? Using the power of the camera to give us what we want. This is on a tripod with a slower shutter speed, right? In that mixed light, in that in-between light. after dark. Yes. Or traveling. So we're at the group, we're going, any questions, Karen?
Yeah, someone asked about the Tamron 35 to 150 2.8
Uh-huh.
for the E-mount Sony. What do you know about it?
It's a good lens. You know, Peter is our Sony guy, and he likes that lens a lot.
That's the only question.
Good. You know, I've never used that lens. You know, when I'm using a Sony camera, I'm using the full frame cameras with the full frame lenses, and you know, usually the Sony Pro lenses. So we've got a group going to Italy in June, and we did a scouting trip. I took this bag, 14 to 30, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. And this is in Florence, phenomenal. This is with the 24 to 70, it's 70. Out in the countryside where we're staying, 24 to capture the beauty of the scenery. Using your kit to tell the story. Know your lenses, know what they'll do. They're tools to allow you to see. This is with the 24 to 70 2.8 using the image stabilization function. I've got the Nikon Z72 pointed straight down with, actually this is the original Z7 with the screen up. So I'm shooting down into this wine cabinet of this Chianti that's 10 years old with all the dust on it. It was beautiful. 12,800 ISO. 2.8 aperture. Walking the streets. So guys, don't raise your hand. If you have a question, please type it into the chat. Karen will get it to me. And remember, Karen, if they're specific to a slide, go ahead and stop me.
Okay.
24 to 70 in the streets. This is at about 24 millimeters. Zooming in to 70 to capture a detail. So do I want the whole street or do I want a portion of the street? That's the power of what we're doing, right? Just down one of the little corners, a little restaurant, capturing those details. That's the power of having your kit and knowing your lenses. So this picture, this is San Gimignano, one of the hill towns in Tuscany. I went to this town and this is a picture I wanted to take ahead of time. We were lucky enough to have a rental car, so we drove around the city and found this spot with the towers and that white house in the perfect spot for the Fibonacci composition. I love it. Makes the picture. This is with the 70 to 200 at about 80. 14 to 30 inside the cathedral in Siena. 14 to 30 inside the cathedral. I think this is in Florence. 14 to 30 again. I'm sitting on the floor with the 14 to 30. You know, I can't use a tripod here. No tripods allowed, no flash, high ISO. You know, so this is aperture priority f4, 6400 ISO at about 125th of a second using the image stabilizing function. In the morning, where we're staying, downtown Florence. One of the helpers at the you know, the monastery where we're going to stay. This is Maximo, awesome guy, fantastic guy. Shopkeeper on the Ponte Vecchio Bridge in Florence. The chef from one of the restaurants where we're going to eat lunch. But this is all using the kit, using the bag as you brought it. So Karen, I see a bunch of questions have come in.
Yeah, Donald wants to know, he uses the Nikon Z1430 f4, but he's thinking of replacing it with a Z50 1.8.
Okay.
What are your feelings?
It's a completely different lens.
Yeah.
You know, the 14 to 30 is a wide angle lens. The 50 millimeter is a prime lens, 45-degree field of view. You know, that's like saying, you know, I want to change my screwdriver for a hammer. Right? They're different. And Don, if you need help with the lenses, you know, come down or call. We'll be glad to take care of you. You know, the 14 to 30 is a fantastic wide angle lens. But if you don't like wide angle, then let's switch it and buy something different, whether you want a normal or a telephoto. Other questions, Karen?
Yeah, and Ted Rice wanted to know, do you carry a microphone? And if so, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I use the Rode VidMic Pro Plus, and I'm using that microphone right here to record this session.
Do
So
you
this is usually in my camera bag.
Okay. That's
Absolutely.
all.
All right, very good. And of course, the Motorini, using the image stabilization function, slow shutter speed panning. So aperture priority f11, ISO 100 at about a 15th or an 1/8 of a second to get an image like this. So we're going to switch. We're going to go on safari, or we're going to do sporting event. So then I'm going to switch my bag to the Mindshift First Light 40. So this is a 40-liter bag. So why do I carry this bag? It's the smallest bag that'll carry my 400mm lens, and it's the largest bag that you can carry on to an airplane. So if you're going to come to us with Africa in July, this is the kit that I'm bringing with me. So 2 Nikon Z72s. Now, many of you know that might change is what I'm bringing. We'll talk about that later on tonight. So always 2 cameras when I go on safari. 2 Z72s, the 24-70, the 70-200. Notice I've dropped the wide angle lens for safari and sports. I don't really use the wide angle for safari and sports, but I add a 400mm lens, and that's a prime 400 f2.8, a 1.4 extender, and then a 10x30 pair of binoculars. So one of the Nikon Monarch 10x30 binoculars goes in the bag. That's what I take on safari. That's what I take to a sporting event. So why do I take that stuff? It gives me the pictures that I want. Why do I need a pair of binoculars? To be able to find the animals in Africa, to be able to see the details on things when I'm at the sporting event. Why 2 cameras? Because a lot of times I don't want to change the camera while I'm shooting. So I'll always have the 400 lens on, sometimes with the 1.4 extender, sometimes without. And then I'll have the second camera either with the 24-70 or the 70-200, depending on where the action is. And we'll talk about some of the images that you see in a little bit. So the images that are with the 70-200, that was the second camera. If the images are more wide angle, that's what the 24-70 is, my second camera. I do a lot of 2 camera shooting, not because I'm afraid to change lenses, but a lot of times the action is too fast and I can't get the lens changed fast enough. I see a lot of questions, Karen. Do you have anything for me?
Not really. Gary said the 400 2.8 is amazing.
It's an amazing lens.
And I said, yes. And then Donald said, and the price for it is amazing also.
Okay, guys, you can't get good stuff that you don't pay for, right? So yeah, it is what it is. So I love to shoot sports. And when I'm on the sidelines here at a football game, 400mm and usually the 70-200. So 90% of the pictures you're going to see from the sports action are with the 400mm lens. Why? Because that's going to give me the picture that I want. Here on the sideline, the wives and the girlfriends of the players, 70-200 lens to get that image. A portrait of a player, this is with the 70-200 lens. So that's why I carry both lenses on the camera. So when I'm on safari, you'll see the safari pictures in a minute. The bag is with me. It's on the floor of the Jeep right next to me. When I'm at the sidelines at the football game, I've got the camera with the 24-70, excuse me, the camera with the 70-200, the camera with the 400. The bag is off to the side, so I have to go off to the side to switch from the 24-70 to the 70-200. 400mm. This is in the middle of a play. But all the action is with the 400. Now, can you get similar pictures with a 400 that's not a 2.8? Yes and no. The cameras today, all of your modern mirrorless and pro level DSLR cameras can shoot with high ISOs. So I don't need the fast optics to give me a high enough ISO. I do need the fast optics because I want the 2.8 aperture to blur out the background. I want the camera to be able to focus super fast under these conditions. And that's why I love the 2.8 lens, so that I can blur out the background. You'll see a lot more of this on Safari in Africa, where we've got just a very nice neutral background that's created by the 2.8 aperture. And I love the power of this. You know, if you haven't shot sports with one of the new modern pro mirrorless cameras, they're awesome. This is with a Z7 II and the 400 2.8. Awesome tracking focus. I mean, just amazing. 400 2.8, reaching out into the crowd to compress. 24 to 70 at 24 millimeters. 24 to 70 in the sidelines, right? I knew you have to guess. You can't capture it all. So I was betting, I put the 24 to 70 on, picked it up, waited. Hopefully there would be a pass or a run around to the corner that I could capture with the 400 for the action, right? 70 to 200 through the backstop screen. This is with the 400, a portrait with the 400. I love the 400 for portraits. I love the look of it. And when I shoot these big lenses, it's almost always wide open. Sometimes I'll stop down to f4, but most of the time I'm wide open. And I love the look here. This is with the 400 as well. 400, shooting baseball on the field, capturing the action. (24 to 70 at 24. 24 to 70 at 70. 70 to 200. 70 to 200. 400. Using the lens to get the picture that you want. Using the lens to paint the picture for you, to capture the magic. That's the power of what we're doing. And you build your kit to get the pictures you want. And I know some of you are saying, well, but Mark, I have to buy all the stuff. I could buy camera gear, or I could go out to dinner, or I could buy a new car. I opted to buy a new camera and a new lens instead of, you know, getting new wheels and rims for my car, right? That's the choice I made. What choice are you going to make to get your pictures, to capture the power of the events and the places that you're going? Because to me, it's so powerful. And yeah, we go to Africa. And for many of you, Africa is a bucket list trip, I know. So you want to prepare as best you can. You want to have the best gear you can. 24 to 70. 70 to 200. And people ask, how close do we get? So there's my buddy Chuck. He's got the 400. There's Jane. There's Evelyn. They both got the zoom lenses. Chuck's got the prime 400 like I do. Look at that, right? 400. You saw this one last night. This is 400 with the 1.4 extender. 400. Being able to pick up the details. And look at how beautiful the out of focus background is. Isn't that amazing? Look at this one. Look at the out of focus background. You're only going to get that from the big glass, from the wide aperture glass. You saw this one last night as well. But look at that. Look at the power of it. You saw this one last night too, using the tracking focus. You know, this is with a 400, right? 400, focus right on the eyeballs. Now, I stopped down a little bit because I wanted a little bit more focus. This is like at f5.6 because I wanted a little more focus. 400, 2.8 of a mongoose, 3 mongoose. Would that be mongooses or mongoose, Karen? What do you think?
I have no idea.
Are there any questions?
No, there's no questions. Just some comments. Great.
Good. Using the 400. And if you guys have never used a prime big lens, You owe yourself to invest in a prime big lens to get you the images that you want, because it makes a huge difference. And I don't mean a 150 to 600 zoom. Get yourself a 400 or a 500 or a 600 millimeter lens, because it will change the way you photograph. It will change the look of your pictures. Look at the background on this. 70 to 200 at 200 f2.8. 24 to 70, 2.8 indoors. 6400 ISO, I believe, on this one. 24 to 70. Right up close to my subject. F8, I wanted a little bit of focus on the background so you can see the boy with his cattle. Wow, 400. 24 to 70. 24 to 70. So that's my kit for Safari. So when I change the bag to landscape, I take one of the Z72s out and put a Z7 IR. I take the 400 millimeter lens out and put in a 14 to 30, and I add neutral density and polarizing filters to the same bag, to the Mindshift 40 liter. Any questions, Karen?
Yes, Catherine wanted to know the Nikon Z2 versus the Z9.
Well,
You
the Z7 II, is a smaller and lighter weight camera. I had no problem with the speed of the Z7 II for my Safari photography. For some of the sports, I might have wanted a little bit faster, and that's where the Z9 is going to be a big upgrade. I haven't shot a picture with the Z9 yet. We had Z9 here in the store today. I was able to play with it, but I'm not able to photograph with it. I'm not able to put a memory card in it because these are still pre-production cameras. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be seeing the production Z9s rolling out. So I'll have a better idea for you. Other questions, Karen?
Yeah, she also wanted to know, do current filters work on the Z lenses?
Absolutely, because it's just filter
Yeah.
size. So once again, though, you need to make sure that you've got great quality filters. So in my landscape class and in the intermediate landscape class that Justin does, we talk about the filters, and quality of the filters are just as important as the quality of the lenses. So if you put a bargain basement filter on your great lens, you're going to get bargain basement quality. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that at every step of the way, we have the chain of quality, the chain of evidence, so to speak, is at the top. Other questions?
No, that's it, Mark.
Awesome. So when we're out photographing with the group doing landscape photography, it's slower pace. The camera's on a tripod most of the time. I've got my kit with me everywhere, and I carry the pack and we go to capture these beautiful scenes. So this is with the 70 to 200, with the 24 to 70 at 70, with the 70 to 200 and a neutral density filter to capture the power to decide what we want the picture to be. And when you've got the right kit, you have more options, right? You have the option to capture the picture as you want it. There we are. This is at the location where I shot this picture. Here's the group out having fun. So I just, instead of photographing the waterfall, I turn my camera around and photograph my friends out taking the pictures. How cool is that? Right? Instead of right up close, let's spread out with the wide angle lens. Let's use the wide angle lens with a 50-50 composition. Capturing foreground leading into the background. This one has a graduated neutral density filter. You can see right in here at the top, a little bit of darkening in the sky, and that's done with a graduated neutral density filter to darken the sky. And there we are, out and about, making these beautiful images.
Mark,
Questions, Karen?
Yeah, there's a few questions.
Awesome.
What about the 1.4 tele extender?
I use the 1.4 a lot with my 70 to 200 and with the 400.
Okay, and then in Africa, how many batteries and what voltage? Is
So
there?
Africa is 220 volts. You
Yeah,
don't need to worry about that.
and he did
So
he did specify East Africa.
in East Africa, it's 220, and depending on the lodge you're in, they'll either use the 2-pin Euro or the 3-pin British plug. So I always bring 2 days worth of batteries with me on safari. So for the Z7s, that would be 4 of the ENEL15 batteries, and I have 2 cameras, so that would be 8 ENEL15 batteries on the trip with me. You know, I'm going to add the Z9 on my next safari, so I'll bring 2 batteries for the Z9 as well. Did that answer your question? And if you sign up to go to Africa with us, we have all this information for you. And if you want more information on Africa, I have a 2-hour call like this, a Zoom call on preparing for Africa that I can send you the link to.
Okay.
If anybody wants that, send me an email to that. Yes.
Yeah, Rick asked if you have a Z5 and a Z7 and a wide angle 14 to 30 and a longer lens 24 to 70 or 70 to 200, which lens would you use on which camera?
Well, it depends on what your focus is. So I would you're going to put the lens that's going to capture most of your pictures on the Z7 because that's the better camera. The Z5 is going to be your second camera, so that's going to put your second most important lens on.
Oh,
and so I don't know which lens is going to be most important because I don't know what kind of pictures you're taking.
And I'm not sure if you want to cover this, but with your Z7 II, what are your action settings?
So it depends on the setting. So with the Z7 II, I'm either in aperture priority, f-stop 2.8 or 4, and the ISO to get my shutter speed at around 3,000th of a second, or I'm in manual exposure, shutter speed 3,200, f-stop wide open with the ISO on auto. It just depends on the situation as to what I feel is going to give me the best picture.
Yes, and he added for Safari, he meant.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
And
so for Safari, whoever asked that question, you don't have a long lens.
That was
You've got
Ronald.
a 70 to 200. You know, that's not long enough. You need to get up to 400, 500, 600 to be successful on Safari. And I would leave the 14 to 30 at home.
No, that was Mark, that was a different person.
Oh, that was a different person. Okay.
Yeah, this is a separate question. Sorry.
Okay, fine, Karen. Good.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Awesome. So not in my bag always, but I do own 2 105 millimeter lenses. Why would you own 2 105 millimeter lenses? Because they're different. I have the 105 1.4 portrait lens or bokeh master, and I have the 105 2.8 macro lens. And I use them differently. And I will throw the 105 1.4 in my bag, usually when I'm doing a portrait or one of our figure workshops. I'll put the 105 macro in my bag when I'm doing landscape photography, flower photography, we go to the botanic gardens or something like that. So I love, Vincent Versace, who's going to teach an advanced class for us in 2022, says the 105 1.4 is his favorite lens. And I agree, it's an awesome lens. Look at the power of shooting at f-stop 1.4. Look at what that gives you. Look at the opportunity that 1.4 gives you in this case. Now, that lens is only available for Nikon in the F mount. So if you're going to use it on a Z camera, you need the FTZ adapter. Sony has a 135 1.8. Canon has a 135 f2 and an 85 millimeter 1.2, which would give a similar result. Here's Evelyn with the 105 1.4 at 1.4. Look at that beautiful portrait. Look at how the softness, the beauty of her skin. Look at what happened to the background with that 1.4. Roberto with the 105, 1.4. Mod with the 105, 1.4. Look at the power of this lens as a portrait lens. Open the lens, blow out the background, phenomenal tool. You have to remember, gang, that lenses are like knives to a chef or brushes to a painter. We use a different knife for different purpose. We use a different brush to make a different picture. The lenses are your brushes. 105, 1.4. 105, 1.4 outside. Look at the out of focus background with the 105. It's phenomenal. 105, 1.4, phenomenal. If you like this look, it's not for everyone, and it's not for every picture. And I was showing someone one of these lenses today, and they said, oh my gosh, Mark, but this is like a one-trick pony. Yes, it is. But if this look is important to you, this is a lens that you have to have in your bag. The 105, 1.4. 105, 1.4. It's a portrait lens. It's a beautiful lens. Now, the 105 macro lens is a powerful lens as well, because I can use it for details like this, but I can also get right in close. The 105 will photograph the face of my watch if I want, right in close, allowing me ultimate creativity with small items. You know, and for those of you who followed my Be Creative series through the pandemic, I kind of lived and breathed with the macro lens, right, Karen?
You sure did.
Yeah, because, you know, we weren't able to go out. I had to photograph on my dining room table. And when you have a macro lens at home, there's no limit to what you can do. And this is not a lens with a macro setting. This is a dedicated macro lens. You know, for Sony, that would be the 90 millimeter 2.8 macro. For Canon, that would be the 100 millimeter 2.8 macro. For Nikon, it's the 105 2.8. And they make it both in the F version and the Z version, depending on which camera you have. I love shooting with a macro lens, but it's a unique look. It's a unique thrust on photography. Here's our pet at home, Iro, the bearded dragon. Awesome with the 105 macro. Or some oil and water that I photographed. This was part of the Be Creative series, early on in the 40s in the Be Creative series. Or at the botanical gardens. A lot of times I'll go to the botanical gardens with just the 105 and photograph all afternoon with just one lens, just the macro lens, to give me the pictures that I want. Or maybe I'll use some tricks like extension tubes to get even closer. So what is this? That's right. It's a honeybee right up close. Any questions, Karen?
No questions, Mark.
Awesome. Yes. The 105 macro. Very powerful. I love it. You know, and macro photography is its own thing, gang. If you love macro photography, you're going to get into it. Look for the macro class. I have a 4-week macro class coming in the springtime. Always a lot of fun. It'll turn your head, cause you to think, and give you a lot of new skills and powerful tools to make amazing pictures. Yes. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a new secret weapon. And this applies to Canon and Nikon photographers. So Nikon has the new 500 millimeter 5.6. That's a lens that's a little bit bigger than the 70 to 200. And it's a 500 millimeter lens that's lightweight and hand holdable. Canon has the 600 millimeter f11, hand holdable 600 millimeter lens. So is there any questions, Karen?
No, no questions.
Awesome. I love this 500 millimeter lens. It's powerful because I can take it for a walk to the beach. Hand holdable. I use it for flying birds and animals. And it's, you know, the Canon lens is less than $1,000. The Nikon's about 3,000. So for a 500 lens, they're very, very reasonable and something that you can take with you. Adding a big lens to your lineup is very powerful. And having the power of 500 or 600 millimeters changes you as a photographer. Now, it's f5.6. Look at the background. It doesn't give you the beautiful out of focus background, but that's the trade-off: smaller, lighter, lesser expensive. But look at here, using it for close-up, using it for bees and butterflies. You know, you saw some pictures last night in the mirrorless show using the Canon 600 f11 for hummingbirds and butterflies. Yeah, I used the Nikon 500 similar way for bees and butterflies. Where am I? I'm at the minimum focus distance, about 12 feet away, 4 meters. So 12 feet away from the bee in flight and the butterfly still makes an awesome picture. And I'm 12 feet away, so the animals aren't scared of me. Or how about using it for details, for close-ups? Another secret weapon that I have is infrared. And I alluded to this a little bit earlier in the landscape section. I love infrared. And what does it take to photograph infrared? You need a special camera that is just made for infrared photography. So on my trip to Cuba, I didn't take a second Z72 for security. I took my second camera, was an infrared camera, so that I shoot with that black and white infrared pictures that are different. You know, Cuba is one of my favorite places to photograph. We're going there in March. Unfortunately, due to the politics, it's probably our last trip to Cuba. So if you want to go, get on board right away, because Cuba's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite photographic locations, and I've made some of my best pictures ever there. It's just a great place to tell the story. So I take the standard kit with the Trinity, and instead of the 1.4 extender in the bag, I'll throw the infrared camera in and make some beautiful black and white infrared photos as well. Capturing in a different way, capturing in a different light. You'll look for in the summertime, we'll have the infrared workshop coming up. The power of infrared. Look at the image. Look at the ghostly skin tones here. Look at the skin tones. Look at the whites in the trees. That's the hallmark of infrared. Or the kids playing on the street. I love it. It's just such a great look, a great feeling. So you switch to color and you switch to infrared. And what a unique expression. What a unique story you're telling by changing things up, by giving a different look. Because I want my pictures to have a different look, a unique feel, a unique balance to them that tells a story. I mean, this is an infrared photo. It doesn't look like it, but it is. As is this one. Capturing the beauty of where you are, doing what you're doing. So this is with the Z7 and the 70-200 lens. Amazing day when I shot this image. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite days ever. This guy's a barber in Havana. I let him cut my hair. So much fun to sit down in the barber chair in Havana, talk to him, talk smack back and forth. He had a great time with me. I had a great time with him. And I said, hey, brother, I got to take your picture before I leave. So we did. Capturing, using your kit. I took the infrared camera. Any questions, Karen?
Yeah, actually, Gary just asked, is the infrared camera a black and white image?
No, it's a blood red image when it comes out of the camera, Gary. And then you process it. And depending on how you process it, you can either get a very muted, almost sepia look to it, or go to full black and white. And most of the time when I shoot infrared, I go to full black and white with it. I took the infrared camera with me with my kit to Vietnam. So once again, The Trinity, 14 to 30, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. And instead of throwing in the 1.4 extender, I brought the infrared camera. I wanted this picture in Sapa in Vietnam, awesome location. This is downtown Hanoi. By the way, this is the lake. When John McCain got shot down in North Vietnam, this is the lake where he landed. And I shot it in both color and in infrared. And how striking is that? The old cathedral in Hanoi, one of the barmaids at a bar at the hotel, the guards at Ho Chi Minh's tomb in color, and out to the river outside of Hanoi in color or in infrared. What a magic photograph this is in infrared. That's Quy, our guide in Vietnam, great guy, a family who's lived in this house 60 years, making rice wine, and 2 girls in the field that we found. Traditional outfits in color or in infrared. So one of my secret weapons to get amazing pictures. But you're using the kit, you're using the camera bag to tell the stories, to capture the moments. And if you don't have the bag with you, you'll never get the picture. If you're relying on your phone, you're never going to get these pictures. You're never going to capture these moments. If you don't understand your apertures and your shutter speeds and your ISOs, you're never going to get these kinds of images. So it's all about the bag, but it's more than the bag. Questions, Karen?
No, that's it.
Awesome.
No questions.
So to recap, my bike and hike bag, the Peak Designs Everyday Sling 6 liter, the Nikon Z50, 16 to 50, 50 to 250 lens, the daily travel bag, the Think Tank Streetwalker Pro V2, Nikon Z72, 24 to 70, 2.8, 70 to 200, 2.8, 14 to 30, and the 1.4 extender. Going small, switch out the 2.8 lenses for the f4 lenses. If that's too much for you to carry, you're willing to take a little bit lower quality and a little bit less out of focus background and low light ability. For sports and safari, 2 cameras. I'm using the Z72s, the 24 to 70 2.8, 70 to 200 2.8. We add the 400 millimeter lens, the 1.4 extender, and a pair of binoculars. Shift that to landscape. I pull out the 400, add the 14 to 30 and some filters in the kit. Remember your dynamic duo, 24 to 70 2.8, 70 to 200 2.8. I think as a serious photographer, every single person should have these lenses in your bag. Save your money and buy the Canon, Nikon, or Sony lenses. If you can't afford them new, buy them as late model used lenses. That's much better off than buying an other brand lens. Get the Canon, Nikon, Sony lens. You're going to be much happier in the long run. Will there be changes to my bag? Yes. Hopefully in the next week, I'll be having a Nikon Z9 to test and see where that fits in my bag. We're getting tomorrow the first batch of the Nikon 100 to 400 lenses. I'm going to see where that fits in my bag. And Nikon has announced a new 400 millimeter lens that's going to replace the F-mount 400 2.8 lens. So next time you see me with this presentation, I may have a new camera and a couple of new lenses in the bag. We'll see how that goes. Only time will tell. I've got to test and make sure that I'm happy and see where we go from there. Questions, Karen?
Yeah, yes, there's a couple. Gary wants to know camera straps and why.
So I use the Peak Design Everyday the Peak Design Slide Light strap on my Nikon Z cameras. So this is This is the Peak Design slide. They make this in 3 thicknesses. The original slide, which is about 1.5 inches wide, that's what I would use if I was using a DSLR camera. This is the slide light, the middle size, and then the compact, which is about 1/2 inch wide. What I like about them is you attach this little dongle onto your camera and the strap easily comes off. Because there's sometimes I don't want the strap, or if I'm doing macro photography, the strap's gonna dangle in the picture. This is called the slide because you can slide it very simply and make the strap longer or shorter. And there's a lock on the strap that locks it. That's why it's called the slide. It's ridiculous. They're like 75 bucks for a strap. Remember, guys, we just sell the stuff. We don't make it, we don't price it, and we have to sell it for the price that the manufacturer says. We have no leeway on that. But awesome strap. I have the Peak straps on all of my cameras. Other questions, Karen? Did that answer your question, Gary?
Let's see. They want a question about how do you feel about UV haze and polarizing filters?
So UV filters on your lenses, I recommend that you put a high quality protection filter. We don't call it UV haze anymore. I call it a protection filter. My favorite one is the ProMaster HGX filters. They're expensive. For a 77 millimeter, they're about $100. For the 82 millimeter, they're like 110. For 67 millimeter, they're like $80. But it's there to protect the lens. So a lot of people say, I don't put a filter in front of my lens. I understand that. But 6 or 8 times a week in the camera store, we have people come in with a cracked filter because they dropped the lens, banged the lens. And if they didn't have the filter on, they'd be buying a new lens. Instead, they bought a new filter. Polarizing filter, absolutely. I use a polarizing filter a lot for landscape photography. Once again, a high quality screw-in polarizing filter. The ProMaster HGX is my favorite. You know, they're fairly expensive. They're $150 to $250 for a big size, high quality circular polarizing filter. Please, please, please don't buy cheap filters. They're just going to make bad pictures for you. Other questions, Karen?
Yes, what about tripods?
I am a firm believer in the Gitzo tripod. I have a Gitzo 35-33 XL tripod. My favorite tripod ever. I love it because it's super lightweight and super strong. You know, it goes to about 6 foot 2 inches. And I have 2 Gitzo heads, the 38-33 and the 48-33 heads. We have them, all that stuff in stock here at Paul's Photo. We'll take care of you on it. It's expensive. A big tripod, you need a big tripod if you're going to be doing high quality landscape photography, because a wimpy small tripod is just going to blow over the wind and break your camera.
And then there's a question about what about a quick release for an L bracket?
I use L brackets. Karen, do you use L brackets?
I use L brackets and I do use a quick release.
So do you guys want to see the tripod? Yes or no? Is there a yes there? Because I've got to run out to the car. It'll take me 10 seconds to go get the tripod.
Rick says yes. Armin
All right.
said yes.
So let's wait for a couple. Are there any more questions? And then I'll run out and get the tripod.
No, but people want to see it. So go ahead.
All right, I'll be right back. Hang on.
So Donald, I met Mark a long time ago. I met him when I took boot camp. That was when it was in the old part of the store. And then I started assisting on classes, and just have been doing that for a long time now, especially since I retired. I agree, Gary. Gary said, get the quality stuff the first time around. And yeah, if you don't, you'll end up buying it eventually anyway. He's right.
So I just zoomed the lens back a little bit so I have a little more room. Can you see my head, Karen?
Yes, barely, but we can see
Okay,
it.
so this is my Gitzo tripod. You can
Mark,
see
Mark?
not a small, go ahead.
Yeah, if anyone's having trouble seeing you full screen, they need to click on that little
Hold on.
icon.
No, hold on. Let's see. Hold on.
No, I meant because we had you're gonna change it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, we see you now.
Okay, great. Hold on a second.
Al, the boot camp is online right now. I don't know if he's doing it in store.
So the live boot camp is coming in March. The January boot camp will be online.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome. So one of the things I love is I have an L bracket on all of my cameras, and all the tripods we recommend here at Paul's Photo use the Arca Swiss style quick release, and we use the Arca Swiss style L brackets. We sell L brackets from a number of different companies. They're all compatible. We're just looking for the best deal we can right now. The best deal is on the small rig L brackets. They're $40 to $60 depending on the camera. The L bracket covers the left and bottom of the camera. And the reason why it does that, you can see I use the twist lock tripod legs because they're fast and reliable. I have a ball head. This is my Gitzo ball head. I have the big head on here because I was using the 400mm lens the other night in the rain. So I wanted to have the big lens. And so with the quick release, it just clips in. That's all there is to it. Now, when I switched to a portrait, the reason for the L bracket is now I switched from landscape to portrait. It's just that simple. So do you want to see that again? Now the camera's portrait. Now the camera's landscape. If you have a traditional tripod, you're shooting here in landscape, and then you have to do that to go to portrait. The problem is that you've shifted the image. So now I need to recompose, change the tripod height. It's a pain in the neck. Having the L bracket is a huge advantage. Other questions, Karen?
That's the only questions right now, Mark.
Anybody else? Hope it was worth it for me to go get the tripod for all that. So if you guys have any questions, call me. Don't be afraid to call or come by. It's great to see you guys all online tonight. You know, I love to have you all come into the store, but I know some of you are living out of the area, and you know, it's great to have you as part of our creative community here that are not in Southern California. I love it. It really makes me happy to help everybody, no matter where you are. Other questions?
No, just awesome presentation. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone. I'll be sending out the recording to this tomorrow or Friday. You'll get the Why Mirrorless if you like. I will put in with there the Africa preparation and the Cuba preparation videos to help you guys if you want. We've got room on both of those trips if you like. We've got room in Yosemite. We've got one room left in Tuscany if anybody's interested. You know, you were talking to them about boot camp, Karen. It's awesome. If you haven't done photo boot camp, you need to do photo boot camp. So, all right, gang. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everyone. We'll see you real soon. Thank you, Karen, for helping out tonight.
You're welcome. I'm stopping recording.
Yes, go ahead and stop recording.